When I entered the hospital room, I found my wife unconscious and injured. I demanded answers, only to learn she was another victim of John Baker, a corrupt associate of the mayor with deep connections in the police and courts. Determined to expose him, I vowed to make him pay the ultimate price, setting off a showdown beyond my wildest imagination. The sterile smell of antiseptic filled the dimly lit hospital room as I pushed open the door. My heart raced with a mix of fear and desperation. There she lay, Clara, her once bright eyes now empty, connected to life support machines that beeped rhythmically in the background. As I lifted the blanket, horror overwhelmed me. Bruises marked her delicate skin, and cigarette burns scarred her chest, each one a silent reminder of the suffering she had endured. My mind raced, struggling to understand the unimaginable scene before me. Furious and frantic, I stormed to the front desk, demanding immediate answers. Before I could speak further, a stern doctor placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "Buddy, you'd better accept it. She's just another victim of John Baker, a friend of the mayor with deep connections in the police and courts. She's not the first victim of that bastard." His words cut through me like a knife. Turning to face him, my voice cracked with determination and rage. "Well then, that bastard just signed his death warrant. His connections won't save him now. It's time for him to pay." The name John Baker echoed in my mind, a symbol of corruption and unchecked power that had plagued our city for years. Clara's injuries weren't an accident. They were a message, a warning from someone who wanted her silenced. But why me? What did I have to do with this? As Clara lay unconscious, the reality of her situation sank in. She had always been the pillar of our family, her laughter filling our home with warmth. Seeing her like this was unbearable. Determined to uncover the truth, I knew I had to act quickly and strategically. My first step was to gather evidence to expose John Baker's network before he could strike again. I began by accessing Clara's personal files, combing through her emails and messages for any clues. What I found was a web of deceit that stretched far beyond our marriage. Clara had been investigating John Baker's illegal activities for months, a fact she had kept hidden to protect our family. Her recent behavior, late nights at work and secretive phone calls, was part of a larger plan to bring Baker to justice. But Baker was a master manipulator, with his hands in every part of the system, from the police force to the city council. Taking him down wouldn't be easy, but I was determined to honor Clara's sacrifice and make sure no one else would suffer at his hands. Realizing the scale of the task ahead, I reached out to those I trusted most. Isabella Mahler, Clara's best friend and a seasoned journalist, became my first ally. Her determination and investigative skills were invaluable assets in our pursuit of the truth. "We have to be careful," Isabella warned during our first meeting. "Baker's connections run deep. If he suspects we're onto him, he'll stop at nothing to protect his empire." I nodded, the weight of our mission pressing down on me. "I understand, but we can't let fear stop us." Clara believed in us, and we owe it to her to see this through. Our second ally was Marco Rossi, a former police officer with insider knowledge of Baker's operations. Though he had left the force under questionable circumstances, his connections and understanding of law enforcement made him a vital member of our team. "John Baker is untouchable on the surface," Marco explained, his eyes scanning the dimly lit cafe where we met. "But every empire has cracks. We just need to find them." Together we formed a pact to dismantle Baker's network, each bringing our unique skills to the table. Isabella would handle media exposure, Marco would navigate the police and legal systems, and I would follow the financial trails that linked Baker to his illegal activities. Our first major lead came from a forgotten financial report Clara had prepared before her hospitalization. Hidden within the mundane data were discrepancies that pointed directly to Baker's financial manipulations. His investments were a front for money laundering, funneling illegal funds through legitimate channels to avoid detection. Isabella used her media contacts to leak the report anonymously, ensuring it reached the right people without exposing our identities. The public was outraged by the revelations, and Baker's empire began to show signs of strain. But Baker wasn't stupid. He quickly countered the allegations, branding us as disgruntled former employees seeking revenge. Unshaken, we pressed on. Marco managed to arrange a confidential meeting with a whistleblower within Baker's organization, who provided damning evidence of Baker's involvement in bribery, extortion, and even orchestrated crimes. With each piece of evidence we uncovered, Baker's facade began to crumble. Our actions stirred a storm that Baker couldn't easily quell. The stakes were rising rapidly as our investigation deepened, and so did the dangers. Unmarked cars began following me, and anonymous threats started infiltrating my phone. It was clear that Baker was aware of our efforts and desperate to silence us. Clara's attackers weren't just random criminals. They were part of his effort to stop us. They were a calculated move to intimidate us into backing down. One evening, as I reviewed the latest findings in our makeshift office, Isabella burst in, her face pale. "We have a problem," she said, handing me a stack of photos. "Baker's men have been spotted at Marco's house. They're watching him." Panic surged through me. Marco had always been cautious, but Baker's reach was clearly vast. "We need to protect him," I replied, my mind racing for solutions. "We'll have to go off the grid for a while. Use burner phones, change our routines, anything to throw them off our trail," Isabella suggested. As we took measures to secure our safety, the emotional toll of the battle weighed heavily on me. The thought of losing Marco or Isabella was unbearable, but I knew our mission was bigger than any one person. Clara's legacy depended on our success. Our relentless pursuit began to pay off. Marco's insider information led us to a critical piece of evidence, a ledger detailing Baker's transactions with high-ranking officials. This document was the key to exposing Baker's deep corruption within the city's infrastructure. With the ledger in hand, Isabella prepared a comprehensive expose that would leave no room for Baker's denials. The article was set to be published by a major news outlet, ensuring maximum visibility. But Baker was relentless. Just hours before the publication, our hideout was raided by a group of masked men. Panic ensued as we scrambled to secure the evidence and protect ourselves. In the chaos, Marco was injured, sustaining a head wound that left him unconscious. Clara's death had been a catalyst, but seeing Marco like this brought the full weight of our mission crashing down on me. The ledger was safe, hidden in a secure location, but the danger had escalated to a life-threatening level. Determined to see our mission through, I knew we had to act quickly. The publication of the expose was our only chance to dismantle Baker's network once and for all. With Isabella's help, I managed to recover the ledger from its hiding place, narrowly avoiding capture during another attempted raid. As the publication time neared, I coordinated with Marco, who, despite his injuries, remained determined. "We can't let Baker win," he insisted, his voice weak but firm. "This is our chance to end his reign." With the public's attention firmly fixed on Baker and the pressure mounting from all sides, his empire began to crumble. Investigations were launched, and more evidence emerged, painting a clear picture of Baker's corruption and criminal activities. The day the expose went live, the city buzzed with shock. Protests erupted outside City Hall, demanding justice and accountability. Baker's defenses were overwhelmed by public outcry and the weight of the evidence. Cornered and desperate, Baker made his final move. He orchestrated a violent confrontation to silence us once and for all. As our team prepared to testify against him, Baker's henchmen attacked the courthouse. Chaos erupted as security struggled to contain the situation. In the midst of the turmoil, I found myself face to face with Baker. His once composed demeanor was now twisted with rage. "This isn't over," he snarled, brandishing a weapon. "You think you've won. I have connections beyond your wildest dreams." But this time I was ready. Armed with the truth and backed by law enforcement, thanks to Marco's whistleblower connections, Baker was swiftly apprehended. His fall from grace was fast and final, marking the end of an era of corruption that had plagued our city. In the aftermath of Baker's downfall, the city began its slow process of healing. Clara's name was cleared, her sacrifice honored, and justice finally served. Marco, though scarred by his injuries, recovered and continued working to rebuild the integrity of the city's institutions. Isabella and I continued our partnership, using our experiences to advocate for transparency and accountability in governance. Our bond had been forged through adversity, unbreakable and steadfast. As for me, the journey had transformed me in ways I couldn't have imagined. The pain of losing Clara had been a catalyst for profound change, pushing me to confront the darkness and emerge stronger on the other side. Years later, as I stood on the balcony of my penthouse in Zurich, overlooking the city's shimmering skyline, I reflected on the tumultuous journey that had shaped my life. The pain of betrayal had been a catalyst for profound change, driving me to rebuild, not just my career but also my sense of self. In the ashes of betrayal, I mused, sipping a glass of aged Swiss wine. I found the strength to rebuild my life. Trust may be fragile, but resilience is unbreakable. Clara had moved on with her own life, taking a path of redemption and renewal. Our interactions remained cordial, a testament to the complexities of human relationships and the capacity for forgiveness. Lena and Tobias had grown into resilient young adults. Their bond with me was stronger than ever. They carried with them the lessons of trust and integrity, values I had instilled in them through our shared experiences. As the sun set, casting a golden hue over the city, I felt a sense of peace and accomplishment. The epic showdown had been a defining moment, one that had tested my limits and ultimately led to a life of purpose and fulfillment. In the tapestry of life, every thread of betrayal weaves a pattern of strength, reminding us that even in our darkest moments, we possess the power to transform pain into purpose. Thank you for joining me on this intense journey of betrayal and revenge. If this story moved you, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Lauren's story. By subscribing, you're not just following a channel, you're becoming part of a community that values deep, meaningful storytelling. Let's continue exploring these heartfelt journeys together. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss our next story.